All right, we are live. Let me get the Amazon one going here, and then we'll kick things off. There we go. All right, back in the... All right, we're live. We're back. I'm back in the live streaming saddle, if you will, because it has been a long week of traveling. So, yeah, I was getting some... Tomorrow is my anniversary, number 15. So I just heard back from the florist. I ordered some flowers that look like her wedding bouquet. Thought I'd be thoughtful. All right, let's see. Are we live on YouTube? Yes. Okay, we're good. So yeah, I'm back in the back in my spot, in my chair where I don't move, in my basement, and we're going to be looking at some of these that just came in. These came in free of charge, by the way, from Sandisk. They've got a new solid-state drive format that they are rolling out for. This is kind of more of a professional product, but I think it's priced into the prosumer market. And this is their ProBlade series. These they announced a little while back, and they're rolling out. In full disclosure, they provided all these free of charge, but they're not dictating the content here. And you'll hear me complain about one thing in particular with this thing as we're going through it. And so what these are these little NVMe modules, and you slide them in to readers. So they sent over this is their first product in the reader thing. And this is their transport, which is a portable solid-state drive. And we're going to measure all the performance on this and everything in a minute. Now, what this does is it interfaces via USB Type-C. The problem that I have with these is that although it says you can get up to 2 gigs of transfers in both directions, it's USB 2x2, which is not supported by most manufacturers. So you're going to get about 1 gigabyte each way out of this one. But they're coming up with a Thunderbolt enclosure that will allow you to get more out of these, which I think would have made sense to have this one be Thunderbolt. Let me say hello to some folks, and we'll continue on here. William Wilkinson is here. The Skulls playlist is here. Kevin Hawthorne is here from Lakeland, Florida. I was just in Florida, as you all know. I came back empty-handed, but we're going to do more from Florida, so I'll try to go back. We have this really easy flight now that goes from locally here to Florida, so I'm going to go back. Joe Tyson is here. Travis Rhodes is here. I'm doing good. I'm a little tired this afternoon. Might just be the 2 p.m., 3 p.m. doldrums. Nigel Roberts is here. Mixinimal is here. John Bell is interested in seeing these. It's funny how the algorithm finds you when these things happen. And the Skulls says these look nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to these. You know what's neat about these? Here's the use case for this, is that if you're in, and we have somebody on Amazon, TikTok saying hello. What I like about this design, and we'll open it up here as we go, is that you don't have to worry about bending the connector and breaking something out in the field, especially if you're swapping these things around. So although this connects like a standard USB thing would, the drive comes out, and it comes out pretty easy. So it just clicks in and it clicks out. And this feels, it's hard to tell the difference between metal and plastic these days. I feel like this is plastic, and I'll double check with them to confirm. These are definitely metal. So it's a 2 terabyte, this one, NVMe on a module. And they've got a little spot here for you to put a label on so you can label everything. And then it slides in like so. It only goes in, is it going either way? Let's see. Yes, it won't go in this way. You have to, so it's keyed, so you can't put it in backwards. I'm not sure how they did that. Let's see. So if it goes in this way, it doesn't go in, but it slides in easily. Oh, I see. There's a little curve. So there's a little curve here on the edge, so you can't put it in backwards. So it is a one-way ticket here. And the Brown is here. Hello there. Is it the, yeah, it's kind of like that, right? But these are industry standards. So these are NVMe's. If you were to shuck it out of here, you would find an NVMe inside of the module. Mr. Roy is here from India. Yeah, I did get my caffeine already, so I think it's just I might just be a little tired. You know what happens is whenever I've got like a lot of, and Cooler King is here too. Whenever I have like a lot of traveling, which is because I not only did I go down to Florida for that launch, I was also in where did I go? I went to Nantucket with my family, and we had a trip to New York City right before that. So I've been traveling for like the last 2 weeks of August straight, like just going from one thing to the next. And I've been hustling to get content like in the queue. So the good news is I've got a bit of a backlog, which is going to be helpful. Now here's what you got to be aware of with this. There are, and it's getting even more confusing, if it was not already confusing enough. So this is going to be supporting a USB 20 gigabit standard, as you can see. It says 20G. But this is not the USB 4 20 gigabit. This is the 2x2 20 gigabit. So what does that mean? That means that most computers with a Thunderbolt port are not going to support the 2 gigabyte symmetrical transfer rate that this might be able to achieve. Although when the Thunderbolt enclosure comes out, these will get you that speed. So the thing that you dock these modules to is the interface. So this module is docking with a USB enclosure right now. But when the Thunderbolt one comes out, if I plug it into that, it'll be running at Thunderbolt with a Thunderbolt interface. So this is not USB 4, it is USB 3.2 by 2. 3.2, 2 by 2 is what they call it. And I have a Lenovo workstation here, it's a little dusty, that Lenovo loaned to us a little while back for a review. I've got one more thing to do with this thing. And this one I've been using as a portable hard drive tester because it's got a really fast USB interface. So that is the enclosure part. If you have questions, definitely ask them. And I'm going to do a review of this as well. So this is like our live testing regimen here, and then we'll have a detailed review of it later. So now the modules, and I will tell you, I love getting hard drives for review because ever since I went to 4K, I accumulate so much storage, it's not even funny, or take up so much storage. So the only thing that I would love to see on these is a little cap for the connector. So you need to find some way to keep those safe because there's no holder or cap that I'm finding inside of these. So if you're traveling with multiples, you might want to get a special case or something for them just to keep them handy there. Look like little 9mm clips, don't they? And I have another one here. So this is the 4 terabyte, and they are labeled. So you'll get the whole scoop on there, and then you can put a label on here so you know what you're working with. And yeah, I just watched the iPhone event also. I'll probably pick up the 14 Pro. You know, usually what happens is I trade in my prior iPhone and get the new one. And they keep making some really good advancements on the camera. So I use the iPhone camera a lot. And the 13 Pro was a huge jump over the 12. And it looks like the 14 is going to have another big jump because you can now shoot cinematic mode in 4K, which is very appealing to me. So here's the 2 terabyte module. And if you have multiple carriers, you can obviously plug in more than one at a time. So what's the advantage here? Well, I think what's helpful here, and I mentioned this a little bit at the outset, is that if you are concerned about breaking off a connector, if you're moving a drive around a lot, you don't have to worry about losing your data because the drive, the storage medium is separate from the interface. So these just kind of slide in and you're off and running. This one's got a light on the front. Now, what's interesting is that the way they format this, apparently, is that this one is a Mac formatted drive, but the Mac doesn't support the highest speed that it has available to it. Isn't that interesting? So we'll take a look at that in a minute. So let me go and get this laptop connected to my video system. And what we'll do is we will connect this drive and run some tests on it. I have yet to review a computer that supports the USB 2x2 standard. So I don't think I'll be able to get the full performance out of this drive. I'll look around. I have a whole pile of computers. I'll see if any of them have that, but I don't think there are any. All right, so now I'm going to plug in my NDI thing here. We'll get the output of this computer, and then we'll go from there. Oh, by the way, my MacBook Air with the M2 is coming in tomorrow. So I may do another stream. Although tomorrow I've got a bunch of stuff. I got something today too. I got a call in about an hour and a half. So I got to hop on that. I'm actually a little busy. I've got a lot going on. So I'm working on some stuff with Synology, and I'm also going to be working on some other things that I think you all might find of interest. And bear with me for a second here. I'm just going to get this connected here. Yeah, Synology's got some really intriguing backup solutions for Windows PCs that I find very interesting. All right, what's going on here? Oh, I'm in the wrong, plugged into the wrong thing. Hang on a second. All right, unplug this one and plug this one in. There we go. And then we're going to review that ARM-based mini PC that I got in. It's not that great. Yeah, we're going to build petabytes. I've probably got a petabyte kicking around here if I incorporate all of the drives that I have at my disposal. All right, so where is Mr. Thunderbolt on this one? I think it's on the back. I'm going to plug this into the fastest port on this computer, which is one of the Thunderbolt ports in the rear here. And we'll connect the drive up to it. All right, so now I suspect what's going to happen here, let me get my other view here. I suspect what's going to happen is that this drive is not going to be readable, because I think they format this for the Mac. So let me load up the disk utility. And the fan on this thing is pretty noisy. And I've got some more blades here. I'm actually interested to see how the 4 terabyte one performs versus the 2 terabytes. So we'll look at that too. All right, so go to disk management, and let me pull that up for you. And sure enough, it is a healthy partition, but it is not Windows formatted. So we will format this. They actually format this for APFS. And so we will create a new simple volume here, an NTFS. Actually, I'll do this exFAT so I can pop it in the Mac. There we go. All right. And we're going to call this, there it is. Very nice, huh? We're going to call this WD 2 terabytes. Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to do that now, but it looks like there's going to be a little bit more. they're going to squeeze out as much as they can from Lightning. What they should do, just to snub everybody, is just make it a Thunderbolt port. So what are these things? So these are, yeah, there will be a docking station. Right now there is not one available. They're coming up with one soon. It's a Thunderbolt docking station. And what they're doing with these is kind of marketing these towards professionals. And the deal with these is that you're a professional, you're swapping footage around, you want to copy. You know, let's say you've got somebody working on color correction and you got another person working on the editing or whatever. You can take these and just copy a bunch of data to them and then just pass them out and plug them into docking stations. That's kind of the gist of what they're envisioning here. And what they're saying is that these connectors are more reliable than perhaps something you could snap off on an external drive. And that's what they're kind of referring to. So let me go and just rename this volume real quick, and then we'll do a quick speed test on this sucker. So we'll call this Pro 2 terabytes. All right, so this is the 2 terabyte Pro. And let's go and load up my disk speed test app. We'll start with that. And what I expect here when I run this app is that we will get speeds of about a gigabyte per second. And if we get more than that, it could be that this machine actually is configured for USB 2x2, but I doubt it. Because I have yet, like I said, I have yet to review one that does have it, at least the one that I'm aware of. All right, so let's start the test. And it's working as expected. You know, not bad. And I should probably record some B-roll here, so let's let that run here. And this will be ProBlade. And I'll record some B-roll. Yeah, so if you had a 2x2 USB port, this would do better. But most people don't. So this is what you're going to get, which is not bad because what I'm not seeing is the drive throttling itself as it gets through these cycles. And we'll run the other test on it in a minute, which is more indicative of, you know, random reads and writes and everything. But I will say that this is encouraging. So we're seeing very consistent performance here, which is what you want out of a professional level drive. And because you've got, you know, a legit NVMe in that module, that's going to give you some good sequential read and write performance. And I think what we'll see out of this drive is perhaps more of a focus on sequential versus random. Mainly because I think the use case for this is recording and capturing large blocks of data, video, and then transferring it to other people. And you can see the light blink in there. All right, so there you go. So we're going to stop this real quick, and then we're going to run the crystal disk mark test on this sucker. All right. Oh, Skulls has got the ARM mini PC. Yeah, they wouldn't take a refund. The biggest problem that I have, let me ask you this, Skulls, if you have that one, did it have an activated version of Windows on it? Because my Windows version was not activated, and they wanted me to run some developer thing to kind of skirt around the activation process. So I'd love to hear what your experience was with that. All right, so now we're going to run this, this test, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. This is the Crystal Disk Mark test. And I run this on every drive that we use here. And I'm going to then do the same test on the other one, on the 4 terabyte, just to see what it does. But here, very consistent, right? We're getting yeah, these notification things are garbage on these platforms, especially with the NASA video. Because it's funny, I got a call from one of my college roommates yesterday. He's like, hey, you back? Did you do anything down there? You know, from the NASA trip? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's up. He's like, yeah, it didn't tell me. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, because it didn't, the video, here's what happens with that video. The video did exactly what I expected it would do, which would be not, this is the video from the NASA trip that I took. I did not expect it to perform very well without a launch at the end, partly because like there's a lot of, you know, I interviewed a lot of people working on the mission, which I find incredibly interesting, and it's fun to talk to those folks, but for, I think, a lot of viewers, it's like eating your vegetables. And if you don't have any reward for eating your vegetables, it doesn't do very well. So if we had a launch at the end of that, it would have done better. And I debated whether or not to like hold it until there would be a launch at some point in the future. But I was like, you know what, this is interesting on its own. Let's put it up and see what happens. And unfortunately, it did not do very well. So we'll see. Yeah, this is what I see on all of them. It's very bizarre. Why use Crystal versus, well, the reason why is that I run Crystal on every drive that I use. And I have found that it's easier to measure random reads and writes with Crystal than it is to measure with my own files. So it's really hard to measure random reads and writes without some kind of test to do it. And this gives you a good apples to apples between different types of drives. And that Blackmagic test is really the same activity that I typically do with a disk, which is capturing video on it, right? So I will look at, it's going through all the reads right now. And my tech guy, Tim, has got both Amazon and YouTube alerts. So hopefully you're getting all of them. Yeah, the Amazon alerts I found are much more reliable than the YouTube ones. And CR says the no-go videos showed up in your feed. I wonder if you have an interest in space, though. That's the question. Because I'm not a space channel, so a lot of people aren't following me for that. And I think the folks that are interested in space on my channel are probably are not as interested in the details, obviously, because the video didn't do very well. Like, obviously, if I put up a TV antenna video, it does, like, a lot better than what we got here. And here's so far, so the top one is sequential, the bottom three are random. And they're different levels of multi-threading and yada, yada, yada. And we'll test the other module in a minute. So Skulls, yours came with a working Windows 11, so you did not have to activate it, because mine was totally unactivated and it still won't activate. Yeah, and Sam says Amazon wants to sell products. That's true. They have a better motivation to do proper notifications, right? I will say, though, that I had hit the bell on so many channels that it got to the point where it was too much. And to some degree, the argument that YouTube made about the fact that they noticed in their own data that people weren't clicking through the notifications when people got too many actually kind of rang true for me. Because there's some that I set the bell on and I just don't, the video didn't interest me, so I didn't click. So I think there's probably some truth to how all this works. So Skull's got a better one than I did, because mine was unactivated, cannot activate it. I was connected to the internet the whole time. And they won't do any refunds. So I probably won't do a video on the Apple event just because everybody else does. I did watch all of it. I watched it all at lunchtime today. And I will probably get the 14 Pro because the cameras seem to be improved a bit. The watch, I was surprised they didn't go for more. So the only health sensor they added was a temperature sensor. They have that new, like, Extreme watch, but as I was watching them talk about it, as a non-athlete, they were saying to me, like, this is not for you. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to buy that one. And the watch, so I have the Watch 6, which I've had for as long as the 6 has been out, and I like the 6 a lot. And there's nothing new on the 8 that says you need to upgrade. Like, if they had more health sensors, I would probably have gone for that, but it didn't seem like there was anything there. But the 14 Pro, I will upgrade to it because of the camera. I use the iPhone camera a lot, not only for like family stuff, but just for, just day-to-day, channel production stuff. ProBlade, this is the 2 terabyte. I'm just putting in my data here. And we got 999.2. 1015.4. I'll show you I'll put this up on screen so you can see what we just ended up with. These are actually very good scores. So I am very pleased with this. Yeah, this is what you would expect out of a professional drive. I'm going to compare, though, ProBlade 2 terabyte module. I am going to compare, though, these random scores in a minute here. So 279.6. Got 279.9 on the other one here, and then 27.96, and then, oh, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong direction here. Hang on a second, let me make sure. Yeah, I did it the wrong way. So I go across 305.5. Yeah, okay. And then it is 279.9, and then 293.4, 27.96, and 81.28. So, from a comparative standpoint, I'm going to move this up on my chart here a little bit. Yeah, this is pretty good. It's definitely competitive with the T7 from Samsung across the board, and in some areas does a little better. But it's, you know, it's what you would expect out of a pro level drive. But we're not getting the 2 gigabytes on the box because we don't have USB 2x2. All right, so now let me eject the drive. And the other thing they say is a benefit here is that you can hot swap, we'll test this now, is that you can hot swap these out so you don't have to disconnect the whole drive unit. So you just eject the disk on your Windows desktop, pop it out, and we'll take the 2 terabyte module here and plug it in. And it should light up. There we go. And let's see if this one is formatted for this computer. It is not. So they format all of these apparently for Mac, at least the ones they sent me. So we're just going to delete the volume here. All right, so let's reset all. And we'll go back over to here and just delete the volume. And we'll reformat this as a... And I'm using this, this workstation laptop because this one is like the closest you can get to like a true, you know, cast iron, big old desktop. And we're going to do the same thing here. And this is going to be ProBlade. I'm just interested to see if there's a speed difference between the 4 terabyte and the 2 terabyte. All right, so let's do that. Next, finish. And with that format. All right, we should be done. CR Poll still can't get used to the new video quality. Is it because it's so good? I have seen actually writes faster than read on a number of occasions, believe it or not. That's not unusual. But we can run it again if it looks too weird. But no, I've actually seen that on a few other drives that I've tested over the years. It's all a matter of caching and how they manage all that too. And let's just do this test again because we have it up, and we'll see what we get. So this is the 4 terabyte drive now. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. And I would expect this out of an NVMe, and this is also kind of a pro-oriented drive, so I'm guessing the quality of the NVMEs is up there for sure. So this is a Lenovo workstation. I reviewed this a little while back. I think it's the, let me see which one it is. It is the P15. And the reason why I still have it, they lend me these for review. The reason why I still have it is they sent over this AR thing that I haven't had a chance to review on it yet. So I wanted to, when I get caught up, which I never do, I wanted to play around with the AR thing and see what that was about. Maybe one night we'll do a stream with it. So to get these speeds, yeah, you need 3.2. And again, the problem that I have with what they're doing lately is that all of these drives, they're building in higher speed on the 2x2 USB as opposed to making this a Thunderbolt enclosure. And the odd thing is all of these are formatted for Mac, and Mac does not support 2x2. But Mac does have Thunderbolt, so there you go. Does the Thunderbolt 4? No. So Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4 the standard does not require 2x2 by default, so the manufacturer can opt to use it or not. Thunderbolt 4, I think, has to support Thunderbolt 20 gigabit, but they're not required to support the 2x2, nor are they're allowed to do the 40 gigabit. Hey, Keith Robinson, thank you very much for your super chat contribution. Much appreciated. I'm missing some questions here, so let me go back through the backlog, but I do appreciate your support. Have I ever played Wing Commander on the SNES? I think I played it a couple of times, but I always preferred the DOS version. Yeah, and if you've got it like directly wired in, you can definitely see some crazy speeds for sure. And yes, there was secret operations. I had that. They had like some bird creatures, if I remember that correctly, on the DOS version. And this is a USB dock, 2x2, which is odd because they format everything for the Mac. You'd think it would have made sense to do Thunderbolt, unless the cost would have been exorbitant. Because I think you need to pay for Thunderbolt certification, but not USB certification. And I thought USB 4 might fix the confusion, but no, because just the other day, and I kid you not, like 2 days ago, they just announced USB 4.0 version 2. I kid you not. So rather than call it USB 5, now we have USB 4 version 2. And that's going to add an 80 gigabit per second mode with a different cable. So you have to have the right cable, and then you'll have up to 80 gigabits, which is great, but why not just call it USB 5 or Thunderbolt 5? I don't know. And Pedro, yeah, maybe we could try that. I think I've got, do I have a 100 gigabyte file somewhere? I probably have one somewhere. See, I'd like to run the test that we do for the Blackmagic test, because it hits it, it reads, and then it hits it again. It doesn't give enough time to really flush the cache out. But yeah, it's crazy, this USB stuff. It looks like we're getting similar scores. And you'll see that you do have faster write speeds in a few of these tests here. So it's being pretty consistent. I also found, by the way, that's the reason why I'm using this workstation, is that I went through this thing where even on my Lenovo gaming laptop, the USB controller was slower on that laptop versus others. And I had this one day where it was driving me crazy. So I went through every computer I had in this house, testing the USB controller speed with the same drive all over the place. So it's like Thunderbolt, when you plug it in, it's going direct to the bus, but when you plug USB in, it goes through a USB host first. So it's nuts, which is why I wheel out the workstation here when we do our thing. All right, it looks like, yeah, this is within the margins of what we got before on the other one. So there's no performance penalty on the larger version. But yeah, that's it on these. It's pretty simple. So you hot swap them. So when you're done with one, you can just, you want to properly eject it. So I'll go down here and go to right click here and just eject. And then you can pop it out and then pop in a new one. I think this is the other one. Let's see. And it just comes back up. And we're going to get rid of this person who's spamming me with inappropriate stuff here on Amazon. How do I get rid of you? I used to be able to get rid of people on Amazon. How do I get rid of people now? Let's see. I'm not sure if anybody on Amazon can moderate here, but we've got somebody who's Monica's Home Essentials. Really? I can't get rid of her. Well, hopefully Amazon fixes that. All right. I'm going to see if there's anything else to this, but So here's the other problem with USB is they keep changing everything. So USB, let me pull up the latest, how this works here. So USB data transfer rates and specifications. What's the current one? All right, so USB 3.2 is no longer a thing, maybe? Let me go to the USB. Here, I'll pull it up on this computer so we can follow along together. All right, so we're going to go to the USB forum. And it's funny, I see these guys. You know, it's unfortunate because the people that show up are not the ones that need to hear all this, but these poor people show up to some of the shows that I go to, and all they do is hear about this stuff. All right, so the current USB standard, let me zoom in on this for you, consists of USB 4, USB 3.2, USB 2.0. All right, so if we go to USB 3.2, which used to be 3.1, let's see if I can find, usually they have like an example of, let's see, let's go to the press room and see if we can find something quick and easy. Okay, here's USB 4 version 2. So USB 4 version 2, let me zoom in here. Yeah, this is the new one. So USB 3.2, Gen 1 is 5 gigabits per second. Gen 2 is 10 gigabits per second. 2 by 2, so Gen 2 X2 is 20 gigabits per second. And that's the fastest you'll get on USB 3.2. USB 4, version 1, supports by default the Thunderbolt 20 gigabit, but not the 2 by 2. It supports it, but it's not required to be supported. So people buy this thinking, oh, it's 20 gigabits, but I got USB 4 or Thunderbolt, I'm good to go. No, because if your computer doesn't support 2 by 2, 3.2, 2 by 2, it doesn't work. And now what we're going to have is USB 4 version 2. And so what this is going to do is give you up to 80 gigabits based on a new physical layer architecture using existing 40 gigabit USB-C passive cables and a newly defined 80 gigabit per second active cable. So you're going to need a new cable to get the higher speeds. Yeah. So there you go. So if it wasn't already confusing enough, it will get more confusing. Now let me see if I'm missing anything on this new Blade thing. So this is Blade, ProBlade from Sandisk. Now what they're going to come up with in the future is a docking station. Let me pull this up for you so you can see what it's going to look like. ProBlade. Just got to find it real quick. Yeah, so this is what it's going to look like. You bear with me for 1 second here. Just want to find the official image of it. So it looks like it is available. I didn't realize that. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So it's Thunderbolt. It's got 4 of these slots on it, and then you've got some extra USB. So it's like a little portable docking station. And you could, presumably do like a, RAID or something with it. This starts at $489, whereas the this one without a drive is $70 to get this so you can slide them in. So you could conceivably buy a lot of these modules, and the cost of this thing is less than what it would be to buy a new drive every time, I think is probably what they're looking like there. And what they're trying to promote here is an interchangeable way to pack less with you. So instead of having, a bunch of drives, you can pack a bunch of these smaller blades that you can then swap into the base station or into one of these things. And you can have up to 16 terabytes of total capacity on the dock if you put that in place. So it's really, I think, a matter of what works best for your workflow, to be honest. But it seems to perform very well, so I think at least it lives up. If it's a pro drive that doesn't seem to have a lot of performance compromises. At least that's what I'm seeing so far. So I'll try to find like a big 100 gigabyte file and see if I can do something there. Let's see if we got any more questions here. We got a lot of questions. I missed a whole bunch. And unfortunately, these Apple computers behind me will not play any videos at the moment. But I could probably get that 2GS to do something at some point, because the power supplies are all out of whack. So 2x2 does work with Thunderbolt. However, if the USB controller that's connected to that Thunderbolt port doesn't support 2x2, then you only get a gigabyte like we had there. And you are correct, although there's a caveat to this. Two things. One is that Thunderbolt 3 and 4 require support for 40 gigabits per second. USB 4 does not require the 40 gigabit portion. So 20 gigabits is required under USB 4, but not the 2x2 20 gigabit, the USB 4 20 gigabit. So that's the difference. Is USB Type-C the same as 3.2 Gen 2? No. So you can buy a USB Type-C cable that's rated only for USB 2.0 speed. So when you go out to shop for a cable, you got to find ones. That's why this one is labeled the way it is, because some of these cables don't have the extra lane. so you could have a 2x2 computer, but if your cable doesn't support 2x2, then you get one lane versus two. So you got to be sure you get the right cable, even though they have the same connector. The one thing that you can be assured of, though, up until USB 4 2.0 comes out, is that if you get a Thunderbolt cable, the Thunderbolt cable will support everything Thunderbolt supports. That is display in and out, or display out. It'll support power up to 100 watts. It'll do all of the USB modes. So the Thunderbolt cables will work with everything, whereas the USB cables, you have to make sure that you get the right cable for the job. Yeah, I did a video about this. I may have to update it because it is crazy. And then USB 4 and Thunderbolt 4. So Thunderbolt 4 requires the 40 gigabit connection. USB 4 doesn't. So that's kind of the difference there. There's not much of a difference between Thunderbolt 4 and Thunderbolt 3. However, on Windows, Thunderbolt 3 supports Thunderbolt hubs. So I have, for example, a docking station that you plug into a computer's Thunderbolt port. And then on the other end, you get 3 Thunderbolt ports that you can plug whatever into. And on a Windows computer, those things are only supported, so complicated, on Thunderbolt 4, although the Mac, Thunderbolt 3 supports the hubs. Apparently, I don't get it. A lot of spam today on Amazon, and I can't get rid of these people. I'm not sure what's going on with Amazon today. they put spam in their username, and I can't get rid of them because the username cannot be muted. It's kind of crazy. All right, take a few more questions, then I got to get ready for my call. Yeah, it makes my head hurt too. It's just such a nightmare. And Amda Brown had a Lexar Workflow HR2 that had the similar concept, and it went under after. Ooh, that sucks. Is it easier to get a M2? I think it's up to each individual user. These are marketed towards professionals, and I think when it's not your money, it's a little different, right? So I have, for one of my edit drives, I built one myself. I bought the M.2 enclosure, and I bought an NVMe drive and just used that with a Thunderbolt cable, which works. But here you've got something that's pre-built. What I have found in my experience with video people is that a lot of video people aren't good on the IT side. So they know the specifications, but they're not necessarily in the industry, thinking about building their own drives, or they want something they know has, some quality control behind it. So they buy something like this. Yeah, no spam on YouTube right now. That'll change. Every once in a while they find their way here, right? Let's see. But yeah, they're pretty cool. I like them because, again, it's something where you can carry around a lot more storage with less space, I think. Because two of these together, is about what one drive would be. And if you've got the enclosure, you could even RAID these things up and have a pretty nice little RAID, SSD RAID going. And then you can hot swap them in as you fill them up, right, for capture. So pretty cool. And they're a little more rugged too. So these connectors are probably going to be more rugged than a USB connector. Because I think the one area, like I said, I'm trying to think about what are my anxieties if I'm doing something really mission critical out in the field. And one of them would be, oh my gosh, what happens if I break the end of the connector off on this disk? How am I going to get the stuff off of it, right? So here, if this breaks, you still have the underlying storage available. Mira Trunks is here. How you doing? Hey, did you all like my live stream from NASA? Wasn't that fun? There was nobody there. It was like the calm before the storm. So it was fun to show you guys around. And it's still up. You can watch it on my live stream feed. Tamman says, a bit off topic. I'm getting into photography and looking at a way to back up SD cards without a computer. Yeah, what did I look at recently that does that? Oh, there is a device that does this. In fact, if you go on Amazon and search for it, there's actually products that do that. So, oh, no, that's not going to do it. Sandisk has a product, but it doesn't do that. The NAR box, that's what I was thinking of. That's expensive. Yeah, I'm surprised because that, I'm just looking through here. There's not much, actually. Yeah, because I was going to say that WD drive that you mentioned is one I would look at. You could, I'm not sure if you have an iPhone or an iPad, but you could use an iPad for that with a card reader, too. That's another thing. David S. says, the guy is hacking my stream. Yeah, he's trying to disrupt it. But my stream is solid. Hopefully nobody's breaking into my... I wonder if I can get rid of him from here. Let's see. I'll pop open... Yes, I can't get rid of... Because what happens is that they put the spam in the username, and then you can't get rid of them. This is on Amazon. I'm dealing with that. So David S. wants to know, what was at the Apple event? Everything everyone predicted. So, and actually, this is the first time in my life that I've been right on something that I've predicted. So new iPhones, better camera. It's like the same thing every year, right? New iPhones, new watch, new AirPods, kind of a revision of everything. The iPhone 14 looks like the iPhone 13 and the 12. It has a better camera, 48 megapixel, much larger sensor, which I think is good. That's a big improvement. And so I think it's going to be better at low light. I'm interested in it because there are video improvements also. Like the iPhone 13 Pro is actually a pretty big upgrade for me over the 12 because of the video stuff. So Jade, thank you for the follow. I will thank Jade because Jade is a normal person in there. So I'm probably going to order the phone. I was disappointed that the watch doesn't do more. I was expecting more health sensors. I have a Series 6 watch, and I've not had any reason to switch out. No iPad Pro refresh. So they did not announce any new iPads. It was mostly phones and watches and AirPods. So yeah, it was not a big event. You cannot replace the NVMEs in the blades. It doesn't look like, I guess there is a screw on here. Should we open it up? There's 3 screws on here. I may have screwdrivers for this. Let's try it. I got a bunch of these. I'll take apart this 2 terabyte one. And then we got to run because I got to be on a call soon. So let me find my screwdriver set. Oh, here it is. Let's take it apart. That's a good question. Let's zoom in a little bit. Got to find the right bit. I hope I have the right bit here. Let's see. It looks like one of those star bits. And we need the tiniest one that I have. Let's see. This is looking pretty tiny here. Will that fit in there? No, it's too big. I may not have a bit small enough for this. That one's too big. This one might be it over here. Let's take a look. So the problem is I've taken these things out and put them back in a million times and nothing's in the right. Oh, that'll work. Perfect. Okay, so let's do it. Yeah, Mirror Trunks, I'm with you. You know, like I think the M1, you know, their real innovation I think has been in their processors, which is something you don't see, right? But I think we've kind of hit the limit of where the technology is at the moment. And I also wonder, like, how many different ways can you redesign the iPhone, right? That's the other issue. All right, pretty long screws actually. I'm glad they sent me a bunch of these so I can take one apart without risk. I bet you it just slides out. What do you think? Let's see. Nope. Probably separates somewhere. Oh, it's like glued together too, I think. Yep. There we go. Oh, it's got like a little heatsink on it. Oh, look at that. You can take them out. Oh, yeah. So let's see what's on the other side of this. I can take the whole thing out. Here, let me record a little bit of this. So we have a, I'll put it all back together here so you can see what it looks like. So it's got like a little cap on the back here. And let's do a little B-roll. So it's got, you know, your standard thermal pad, and then it's metal here, so that's going to transfer some of the heat. It's a pretty thick thermal pad too. Let's see if we can get this thing out of here. Oh, it's got on the other side too. This one looks a little bit more gooey. So yeah, you could totally swap these out. And I'm guessing it's probably a Western Digital drive. I guess we can claw away some of that goo and see what's there. See if I can get a little bit of a good view on what part number it is. But yeah, these are pretty simple. I mean, it's a straight shot. Very easy. And that's actually, to some degree, a nice thing for pros, right? So I don't want to mess it up, but let me see if I can get some of the goo spread out a little bit here. It's a Western Digital drive, which that's to be expected because they obviously are the manufacturers here. Just trying to see if it's 2 terabytes. Okay, we're back. There's a 55-minute thing on YouTube. It's a bug that I discovered. All right, so let's go and look at, let me get the part number, then I'll answer the other question. This is not soldered on. You can pull it right out. SN 750E. So these are WD blacks. Now let's see if I can get some of this thermal compound to get back on there. There we go. Put some of that, just get it down there a little bit. There we go. But yeah, you can pop it out. Here, let me do another bit of B-roll here. So we'll do the, just pops right out. So you could totally swap in another one. Just like that. In glorious 4K, no less, right? So let me get some of this goo readjusted here. Oh, it's getting all over the place. I'm assuming this stuff is not metallic, right? Because they wouldn't just slop it on there if there was a risk of short. I'll clean up some of it here. Yeah, it looks like it was all over the place to begin with. All right, so let's put this back the way we found it. Yeah, it looks like it's going back in the way we found it. And then we'll, so it's got heat stuff on both sides. And we'll see if it still works when we put it back in. Yep, those pins stick out, so it looks like I've got it pretty much the way I found it. And am I still running a test on here? No. Okay, so let's, we'll see if it still works when we finish up the work on it. All right. Oh, that's a good question. Does it check to see if it's a Sandisk WD drive? Do I have a non, all right. You know what? I'm going to do this for you all. Let me see if I've got one laying around here. I think I have a Samsung somewhere. Stand by, everybody. It might be upstairs. Problem is I don't want to get the goo all over it, so give me a second. Let me see if I can find that other drive. I've got one upstairs. See what you people make me do? I get into the weeds here. Let me see if I can find that one upstairs. Actually, you know what I got? I know exactly what I'm going to do. Hang on. I am going to I've got this one. All right. I got a half hour to break stuff here. So I've got my little Thunderbolt one here. And this is a Samsung 970. So we'll try this and see what happens. All right, so Yeah, my call's at 4:30, so I think we can get this done in a half hour. But it's a good question because, you know, this is the kind of thing that comes up in the review. Like someone will say, what about this? Will it work with that? And I don't know. But now we will know. All right, so pop this out. Okay. So this is a Samsung. Is that this thermal stuff is all over it, but this is definitely, you can see it here. It says Samsung on the bottom of it. All right, so now I'm going to put this screw right here. I'm going to move this over here. And we're going to take this thing apart again. And we're going to take this part out. All right, put that down here. And then, you know what I'm going to do? Rather than get the goo all over it, I'm going to I'm going to take a leap of faith here and just stick this sucker in like this, because this goo is going to get all over my other drive and it's not going to be good. So let's pop this out. All right, so that's done. So we'll pop this one out. They do get a little warm. And I'll have to shine a light in there and see if there's any kind of heat dissipation inside of it. Now, I'm going to be able to get this out again. You know, I'm going to put this part. I can probably pull it out. Oh, I forgot the connector. Oh, it's on there, right? Yeah. So the connector kind of pops out a little bit. All right, let's just try it with the top here without putting it back together and see what happens. Get a little bit of goo on there, but it won't damage it. Oop. That's why they send these to the reviewers, right? Oh, this might be a little too long. Yeah, this piece kind of keeps everything. You look on here. So this part goes, oh, it's the same on both sides. One of these parts goes up. Well, this part's got some goo on it, so I'm guessing this is the, yeah, it goes like that. Okay, so let's try to piece it together here. Oh boy. All right. Okay, plugged it in, and nothing. So it looks like it does not work with a so it just has the light going, and it's definitely connected. So it looks like it needs the actual WD one. I'm just going to unplug it and plug it back in again. No magic smoke though, so that's good. Yeah, it's just lighting up. So it looks like it might require a WD drive. So that answers the question. Now I don't have another WD drive to try. And now I got this thing stuck in here. So I got to go find my Leatherman to pull it out. Here, I'll give you another view of it here. And I've got like thermal paste all over me. But we answered the question, right? So that's good. Now, let's see if I have my... I'll find my Leatherman. So I'm going to put it back together now, and hopefully it will work when I'm done. And yes, I know I need to put some WD-40 on this door here. That's the door to the kitchen too, from the basement. Okay. All right, so let's pull this thing out and put it back together, and hopefully it will work again. If not, I'll be calling them to say, hey, you remember? Oh, does it show up in Device Manager? I can check. This is definitely an exFAT drive. So let me pull it back up and see. Now it's not lighting up at all. There it goes. Let's see if it shows up in Device Manager. So, storage controllers. I am not seeing it here. Yeah, I don't think it's showing up. All right. So I have a feeling, though, when we put this thing back together, hopefully everything works again, because this is the drive that I use for my editing, the NVMe here. Okay, now I got goo all over it. All right, hang on a second. I gotta get this stuff off of here. This goo is like all over everything. Now I'm trying to figure out a way that maybe I need to get like a little putty knife or something that I can transfer it. I could get like a plastic knife and do that. Ooh. Yeah, so it looks like it needs a WD branded drive, because this was a standard NVMe that I was experimenting with here, so that is definitely. Where does she keep the plastic stuff? Maybe it's up here. You can tell we haven't entertained in a while, because I don't know where the plastic forks are. No, not there. Oh, here's some plastic plates. Ooh. Those are just plates. Oh. So my wife is really good at organizing things, but and she keeps moving things around, so I never know where anything is. These are all plates, no forks. They're probably like way up high where I can't reach them. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my kid's Play-Doh toy should work. You know, one of those Play-Doh putty knives? That'll do it. Let's see. Now, where did she put that? Crayons. Where's the Play-Doh? Notebooks. The Play-Doh used to be over here, but she must have moved it. We have to sacrifice some silverware here. Yeah, nothing is where it's supposed to be, at least where I think it is. All right, I'm going to get into some trouble here, but I think I can use, yeah, she's too big for this fork. They're never going to notice. All right. Ugh. geez. Okay. Let's see if this will. I was hoping to find like a putty knife or something, but I could not track that down. All right, so let's get rid of this goo here. Does not does not come off very easily. I may just leave it on. I mean, it is what it is. I can get some of it off here, but not a lot of it. And they had it just kind of smeared all over the top of this. So I'll just kind of get it back on there, I guess. But it's not coming off easy. And no, I don't want to like lose any of it because I'm sure it has some value in its quantity. But they really got a lot of it on here. It's a lot of thermal paste. All right, so what a nightmare. Okay, we're just going to run with it. So I am going to put this back together. It won't harm it for it to be this gooey in here. And I'm going to screw this back down. If I can, where'd the screw go? The screw disappeared. Oh no. See, this project is turning into a nightmare. Oh, here it is. Okay. So we'll screw this one back down. And then we'll go from there. Oh, an old credit card would work, wouldn't it? I have a whole bunch of those. Let me go grab one of those real quick. I have like a bunch of room keys upstairs, I think, from hotels that I've been to. So let me see if I can find those real quick. But then I got to run because I got this call in like 15 minutes here. But we did answer a question, so that was good. Now, where did she put those cards? I keep these for the kids, these hotel key cards. But those are not where they usually are either. Oh, here's some. Here we go. All right, this will work. Good call, Joe Tyson, on that. All right. So I think the advice I'm going to give to people is, if you really want to make your own, make your own. It's just not worth it. Okay. Let's see how much of this stuff we can get up here. Okay. Whew. So let's scrape it off here and see what we can get. The other problem is that this is like a sticker on top of it, so it's not going to lend itself to coming off easy. So some of this stuff is going to become, yes, it's peeling the sticker off with it. Ugh, what a mess. All right, well, we're going to get as much of this back on the original as we can. Like it's so sticky it doesn't want to come back off again. But I have enough of it, I think, remaining on the other thing that it'll probably be fine. I don't think this stuff is conductive, right? I hope it isn't. All right, did I lose the screw now? No, I didn't. Okay, so let's put the screw back on here. The right bit. Oh, great. Oh, no. Now I definitely lost the screw. All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do, folks? I'm going to find that screw in a minute. Let's put it back together. And then we'll call it a day. All right, let's put this back in. This goes in like this. Because I got to get on this call before it's too late. And we'll put this piece back in over here. It goes in like this. Yep, it goes in like that. And this part goes on top. And we'll screw it all back together. All right, so there we go. And before I screw it back together, I know my wife's going to be asking me, like, what is all this stuff all over the place? Let's see if this comes back up. Oh, yep, it's working. So it has come back. Let's just make sure. Uh-oh, the light's on steady again. Shoot. Although I could have taken apart the one that is Mac formatted. So the one that I plugged in is definitely not a Mac format. Yeah, okay, so we're good. The one that I plugged in was not yet formatted, but as you can see here, it's working fine. So we're good. This one is an exFAT, the one that we were trying to swap out. That one is an exFAT drive. So I think we're okay. And let's pull it out and I'll screw it back together. All right. Does this unit have to be shipped back? I don't think so. They may not want it back after this. But you know what, though? I think it's a valid question because people might want to try this to, like, you know, can I swap in a new module? And you know what? Before I close it up, I think I need to, it didn't work. I mean, I definitely saw that this drive should have mounted because this is an exFAT drive. And if I plug this drive in right now, it should pop up. So let me just do that just to make sure that it's not the computer. And if I do this, this drive should mount. And let me just refresh here. Huh. Well, maybe it's the drive. Let me flip the cable around. This enclosure can get, by the way, this is another reason on these NVMe enclosures, sometimes they can be a little problematic. Huh. I don't know. Well, either I toasted my drive, one or the other. We'll find out. Did not seem to work when we did it. So yeah, I have a big old magnet that will sweep the floor, and we'll get it all figured out. But yeah, I think on this one, my advice will be to not take it apart. And you know, if you really want to make your own, it's a lot cheaper to make your own versus going the other way. But it looks like it's got a WD black drive that installs in it. And I think it's looking for a particular drive when it links up. But this drive should have been readable on this computer because it is an exFAT drive. In fact, I have it exFAT because I frequently transfer files back and forth using that one. So, all right. Well, I got a jet, but we gave it the old college try here. The good news is the drive is still functional. So this one we probably won't use in the testing regimen later. But and I got this thermal paste all over the place. So there you go. Frank Cromer says, open case at your own risk, for sure. Yeah, and I know the screw is down here. Here it is. I found it. That's a needle in a haystack. I actually found the screw. So let me put this back together real quick and make sure that this drive still works. I'm not going to lose any data if it does go, because this is all my current edit projects, and I have everything backed up on my production system. So if I lose this drive, it's not the end of the world. But it would be a shame to lose it over something as trivial as this was. But it looks like it did not like the Samsung drive that I tried to plug into it. So let that be a warning there for you. All right, put that back together. And we'll reassemble it. And I will plug this into my Mac now and just see if it works on that. So let me get my Thunderbolt cable, and we'll go from there. Let's see if it reconnects. Oops, wrong cable. Yeah, that's the right one. All right, so let's plug this back in and see if it reads. Yep, it's fine. We're good. No worries. But now I'm wondering if this drive is just not friendly to this computer. Like, it could very well work. It's just that this computer doesn't like this drive. Let me plug it in here and see what happens. Yeah, now it's mounting. So yeah, I think it's the, I don't think it plays nicely with other NVMEs. I'll confirm that with them just to be safe, but it did just mount here, so it looks like we're okay. So no data lost, everything is back to normal, and I've got thermal paste all over the place. All in a day's work. All right, there we go. These streams are always fun, aren't they? All right. Oh, okay. I'll tell you what, this was a workout. Taking screws out, plugging things back in, but now we've got the full picture and a boatload of thermal paste all over the place. Add some more character and charm to my desk. All right, Frank Cromer says, I'm like a box of chocolates. That's true, you never know what you're going to get. And yep, so we're good to go. Okay, so everybody. Yes, Keith Robinson said, what an adventure. This was an adventure. It was fun. But I'm glad somebody asked the question. This is why, because I would not even have looked to see if you could take these things apart, but you can. And actually, I think that's another selling point, because if you break the connector, you can still get at the storage. So that, I'm going to make a note of that, because that's important. Because a lot of these drives, everything's soldered on, or you know what I mean, you can't like extract it in some way. But this one, it looks like you can do that. So let's just make a note of that. ProBlade, take apart, extract NVMe. And it was a standard WD black drive. So this was the inside, at least mine had an SN750 WD hard drive inside of it. So it's not a terribly expensive drive. It's basically a WD black drive inside. At least the 2 terabyte one was. So nicely performing drive, but it's not like, it's a gaming drive. It's not like a multi-layer or whatever, right? And they probably will swap them around as time goes on. Let me make sure I got some good B-roll there. I'm sure I can pull it up on the stream later, but all right, I got to get on this call. I got 10 minutes to clean up myself here. Got to look my best. Let's take a look and see what I got there. Did I get it? B-roll here, so we'll do the. Oh yeah, I can make use of that, just like that. Yep, perfect. Okay, that'll be good. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for indulging me. Yeah, it does match my clothing, at least, so there you go. For some reason, all my clothes, after the lockdowns have kind of come to an end here, all my clothes got smaller over the course of the last 2 years. I don't know what happened. All right. Well, I'm going to jet, but thank you all for a very fun afternoon. And hopefully, this will answer questions. I have a feeling there'll be more questions like Ernst's question here. Will it work in a yeah, I mean, who knows? I have a feeling it will, because it's probably just it looks like it's a straight shot on there, but it looks like these things are looking for a particular type of drive. So I will ask them, though, if it would take another brand's NVMe. All right. Okay, gotta go. All right, so thank you all for tuning in. And we'll be back again. I'm getting the new M2 MacBook Air tomorrow. Maybe we'll come back with that if I have time. Tomorrow's a busy day, so we'll see. But yeah, great. Catch you all later. Got some cleaning up to do, and we'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.